on what you're tracking in the commodity space.
Ekta, thank you for that. Joining me as a guest, Kushal Rastogi is founder and CEO at Knight Fintech. Kushal, hi, thank you so much for joining in. Well, the latest data from RBI does show that when it comes to agri investments, especially in case of fintech, does seem to be on a rise right now. What would you say is driving this sharp increase that we've seen within the agri loan demand?
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. If you look at from an agri lending perspective, the agri has expanded to about 31 lakh crores is expected to hit in FY26. The reason what we say is like there is an overall framework from the government, the reforms, which are also promoting and incentivizing the banks. For example, is specifically maintaining priority sector lending for at about 40%. Out of which 18% is geared towards the agriculture lending. So that becomes like a big push from the government itself to motivate and incentivize the commercial banks to promote the agriculture lending. At the same time, in my opinion, if you see, it's also about encouraging the farmers in terms of moving towards a formal credit than an informal credit, right? So, for example, reforms like KCC, which has been picking up quite well and now probably hitting about 9 lakh crores, right? So which is again like kind of a big incentive from the government towards the farmers to adopt something like into the formal credit for rates as low as 7%. So I think both the government is pushing both the farmers, the borrowers, as well as the institutions to basically work together. I think that is probably one of the key reasons for as we see as the spike into the lending. Apart from that, if I have to add, the overall the monsoon season has been well in the last few years, and that has also been helping into the increased demand for the farm loans. Yeah.
Kushal, and are we looking at pan India, or do you think this is still some geographies that the markets are concentrated in?
So if you see from a farm loan perspective, obviously there will be the distribution across the geography. If you look at some of the northern region, like so they have been doing pretty well. You have quite wealthy farmers into the northern sector. But yes, and if you look at some of the Maharashtra alone, like if you see that some sectors the farmer has been doing very well, and for some of the sectors the farmers are not doing so well. So yes, there is a distribution which is a function of the geography, what kind of land is there, what kind of crop can be grown there, and accordingly the buying pattern is also gets reflected into that. What are the specific types of which geographies the farmers are looking for, what kind of loans, right? Whether it's more into the crop loans, whether it's more into the equipment loans, etc.
Kushal, also, how would you look at farmer level credit access get better? Do you think technology or AI, or does it have to be more technology driven in that sense?
No, yeah, definitely. I think the overall, if we look at the India stack, like especially the new things which so the AgriStack which is being brought by the government, right? So I think there are pretty interesting steps being taken in terms of formalizing of the land records, formalizing of the farmer identity, and having the digitization process. So overall technology, including AI, right? So whether the use cases are in terms of digitization of the records, identifying the fraud checks, use case into the credit underwriting, use case into the early warning signals, in identifying that what could be the patterns where which could give them early signals for the lenders to pick the certain patterns that can indicate that the farmer could get into the delinquent. That also helps the lenders themselves in terms of reducing their operational cost and the credit cost by leveraging the technology and having the digital processes end to end, and at the same time identifying the early delinquencies. Yeah.
Kushal, Manisha, thank you so much for joining in today and taking us through that discussion. That's all the update that we have from the commodity space. For now, we'll get into another break. When we come back, we'll focus on Biocon. That stock is under pressure ahead of the board meet they have on December 6th. We'll discuss the reasons and a lot more. Stay tuned.